Hi, this is Greg. Look for my book, The Agile Brand, on Amazon or on my website at theagile.world. Welcome back to The Agile World. This is Greg Kihlstrom. Today I'm going to talk about something that I refer to as the duality of the Agile brand. So as I've been talking about my book, The Agile Brand, with a number of people, particularly branding experts, marketing experts, a common question that I get is they get the whole Agile process and methodology and stuff like that, but coming from a more traditional branding aspect, they're taught that there's a lot of things in brands that really shouldn't change, and you put all of this effort into creating guidelines and standards and messaging and positioning. So how does Agile and the fundamentals of branding really, how do those things kind of reconcile each other? So I talk about this a bit in my book, and in the sense of there's two aspects to the Agile brand. One is things that stay the same, and I'll get into that in a little bit here in this episode, and then things that can change and probably should change and be modified over time. So there's these two really parallel or concurrent tracks that a brand is always on, and really understanding how to get both of these to work with each other and how to maintain both of these over time and maintain them effectively really makes an Agile brand or any brand succeed. So there's a few things, again, that I go into more detail about in my book that really shouldn't change or change often. So these are things like mission, values of the organization. Those are things that you really do not want to have change over time too frequently. If you change your mission, my second job out of college, I worked at a tech startup, and great people, but it was in the world of before they had a term for pivoting. They were pivoting quite often, and so our mission, our objective as an organization kept changing. It almost seemed like weekly we'd kind of be chasing one thing, then we'd be chasing another, and stuff like that. Just an organization can't survive pivoting that often and that frequently. So nor can you change your values frequently. Values are something that you build those things over time. You establish a company with a core set of values, and you really shouldn't modify those on a whim. Those are things that really build long-term audiences. Those are things that help a brand weather storms of changing fads, changing tastes, all of those types of things. For instance, a recent Nielsen poll says, over half of consumers are more willing to, spend money on a product if the company's values align with theirs, and that number increases to over 70% if in the case of millennials, and I'm sure we'll see that, with future generations, Gen Z, so on and so forth as well. So, it's just really important to keep that in mind. When I say Agile brand, it's really not every week we're going to change everything about our brand. It's being nimble and adaptive in certain cases. And in the next episode, I'll talk a little bit more about those things that do need to change, or at least do need to you need to be mindful of and keep an eye on and potentially modify and adapt and optimize over time. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week. If you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful, please rate the show on iTunes or contact me through my website at theagile.world. You can find my books, The Agile Brand and The Agile Web, on Amazon and on my website at theagile.world.